Good morning. Thank you for having me. It is Cybersec Forum is the flagship event in the cybersecurity ecosystem, and it is a real honor for me as vice president in charge of the Security Union to be here with you together at this critical moment for Europe. Today, Europe finds itself in a critical point. Our union is built on the internal market where everything and everyone is firmly interconnected. And an attack on in one part of one of our member states can have an immediate spillover effect across the whole union. At the same time, the current geopolitical tensions we're witnessing offer a very tangible example of this interconnection between not only digital and physical threats to our model of society and way of life, but also to the need to deal with the increasing interdependence and interconnection between internal and external threats to our systems. The pandemic also highlighted the importance of addressing the many cybersecurity challenges we're facing with both public and private entities directly affected by the pandemic confinement measures to be under considerable pressure in recent months precisely to digitize their processes and accelerate the transition to the digital world. Given this unprecedented scale and pace of digitalization, new vulnerabilities and new emerging threats have made policy intervention in the field of cybersecurity more urgent than ever before. According to our EU cybersecurity agency, ENISA, the supply chain attacks are expected to multiply by four in last year, was expected to multiply by four last year in 2021 compared to 2020. And the trend seems to be that they will still be growing this year. Finally, on the diagnostics part of the equation, the recent events in Ukraine have brought to global attention, both in the EU and our neighborhood, that we are now facing different types of malicious influencing, disinformation, attempts at electoral interference, shaping electoral and political cleavages, and promoting suspicious foreign investments. Therefore, cybersecurity is not just a vocal priority, but is a key challenge, a major issue of national security and cohesion of our societies and way of life in an overall European security architecture which compel us to act collectively and urgently with sufficient means and tools to face up to it. You will allow me today in this opening speech to outline the contribution of the EU to the main 4 points of the agenda of this year's forum. Most of them are also, I think, sufficiently described in our cybersecurity strategy adopted at the end of 2020. This strategy at the time would allow us to target and achieve three main objectives. First, increase resilience and leadership on international norms and standards in cyberspace. Secondly, to build capacities to prevent, deter, and respond to cyber attacks. And finally, strengthen partnerships around the world to promote a global, open, stable, secure, and in our case, values driven cyberspace firmly grounded in the rule of law, human rights, fundamental freedoms, and democratic values. Let me start with resilience. Setting global standards and increasing our resilience is at the heart of our action. The revision of the Directive on Security of Network and Information Systems, also known as NIS. The Nist Directive was the first EU wide law on cybersecurity, coming into force almost 6 years ago, and has since played an important role in raising the level of cybersecurity of business and awareness across the EU to prevent and mitigate attacks. Despite its obvious achievements and its added value, the evolution of the cyber environment has created fast-paced digital development that has also led to the NIS legislation showing clear its limitations. And precisely with this in mind, we proposed together with my colleague Thierry Breton in December 2020 a new NIS framework, which came to be known as NIS 2 package. Under NIS 2, we propose a considerable expansion of the scope to sectors and services of great significance for our economies and societies. While the emphasis is on medium and large private sector entities in critical sectors, it also allows for some flexibility for member states to identify smaller entities with high security risk profiles. Moreover, in our proposal, we would not only require private entities, but also public administrations to take adequate, appropriate cybersecurity measures. NIS 2 is meant to strengthen security requirements with a list of focused measures, whilst at the same time streamlining incident reporting obligations and introducing more stringent supervisory measures and stricter enforcement requirements for national authorities. Finally, our proposal aims at harmonizing sanction regimes across member states and enhancing the role of the NIS Cooperation Group, which gathers the national cybersecurity agencies at EU and giving it a more central role in shaping strategic policy decisions on emerging technologies and new trends. The negotiations between the Council of Ministers, the Commission, and the Parliament on this important NIS 2 proposal have just started. But given the political urgency around the subject, we do hope that we would be able to conclude these negotiations by the end of the French presidency in June this year. The cybersecurity of essential services through the Nist Directive must be also complemented by enhanced security of ICT products that companies and consumers are increasingly relying upon in their daily lives. We will therefore propose legislation on common standards by ICD products for ICD products under a new European Cyber Resilience Act, as announced by President von der Leyen in her State of the Union speech last September. This new proposal will be presented by September this year, and an open consultation process will be launched in February. I take this opportunity to invite you all, stakeholders and participants, to contribute to this consultation. Now, coming to building our capacities to prevent, respond, and react to cyber attacks, We will be working around different subjects and in several directions. First, on prevention. The way to detect attacks at an early stage is a consistent and comprehensive supervision of the cyberspace. And we believe that the security operations centers can play a vital role there. By relying on artificial intelligence, and in particular machine learning techniques, security operations centers can detect the signs of a cyber attack early through to allow proactive action. The Commission has proposed to improve the existing security operations centers and create new ones. And by linking these centers together in a network, we will establish a real EU cyber shield. The Commission is also ready to commit over 300 million euros to support public-private partnerships, as well as security operations centers that would be able to operate across borders. Then, on responding to cyber attacks, the EU has started establishing a joint cyber unit announced in the political priorities of this Commission, ensuring a coordinated EU response to incidents and cyber-enabled crises across the Union. This joint cyber unit will be instrumental in building the EU's cyber capacities, providing a space for EU institutions, bodies, agencies, and our member states, authorities from the civilian, diplomatic, law enforcement, and cybersecurity communities to work together effectively and coordinate real responses to cross-border cybersecurity attacks and crises. This unit will also give cybersecurity stakeholders, including the cybersecurity product vendors and partner third countries, a focal point for sharing information about threats. Information sharing and cooperation are key to successfully preventing and combating security threats. The proposed joint cyber unit will precisely bring together the different EU cybersecurity communities to create common plans, secure information sharing, tools, and shared spaces. Then, on preparation and protection, it is also crucial to increase and better target our strategic public and private investments in cybersecurity solutions. This will be the key task of the Cybersecurity Competence Center, which will be established as per the decision of our member states in Bucharest. The Cybersecurity Competence Center and network will establish a strategic agenda for technology development in close cooperation with industry and the academic community, and will invest in large-scale cybersecurity projects, such as cyber threat intelligence, cyber-secured hardware and operating systems, and security certification. This ambitious agenda does not come without the necessary resources. The Center, responsible for the use of cybersecurity funds of the Digital Europe and Horizon programs, will allow us to finance the support of the private, and with the support of the private sector, will allow us for generate funding up to 4.5 billion in the overall cybersecurity priorities in the next 7 years. Finally, in terms of strengthening our partnerships globally, notably against the use of cyber weapons and ransomware, the EU is again taking ambitious steps. As you know, combating ransomware is now a global challenge, with an attack affecting every business every 11 seconds, and the global cost expected to reach the astronomical sum of 20 billion euros. The EU Agency for Cybersecurity, ENISA, assessed ransomware as the prime threat for this year. Moreover, as state-sponsored groups are increasingly testing and exhibiting their capabilities for disruptive operations, state-backed groups could conduct disruptive or destructive operations, and that could masquerade as ransomware to weaken our democracies and discredit adversarial governments. This can also become a major geopolitical risk. This increased threat, accompanied by high-profile attacks impacting essential sectors of our economy and society across the European Union. This type of threat and risk has led G7 leaders to commit to action on ransomware and the EU to launch a joint initiative with the United States to combat this emerging threat. We also hope that our joint cyber unit, once operational, would allow European crisis managers and IT experts to structurally cooperate with the United States in this type of crisis management. We need to be able to apply a holistic approach to the global fight against ransomware. And we need to allow for law enforcement agencies to be able to jointly investigate ransomware threats, countering illicit finance, and the possibility for cyber criminals to monetize ransoms. Strong internal action on this topic should ensure that the nations are not cooperative towards cybersecurity criminals and they deny them the space to operate. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, there is also a recognition that we need, and probably this time more than ever before, that we need to step up European cyber defense policy. As our president said again last September in her State of the Union speech, we cannot talk about defense without talking about cyber. If everything is connected, everything can be hacked. A closer European defense union must include cybersecurity and foster cyber defense capabilities, enabling our industry able to produce cutting-edge technology and allow it to be user-friendly and effective for our common defense. Based on this approach, we will complement our cybersecurity strategy with a European cyber defense policy review later this year. The policy should define where, when, and why Europe must intervene against cyber threats, while at the same time addressing security vulnerabilities. This will, of course, build on ongoing efforts to step up the EU work in the field of cyber defense with our member states and NATO. And in this direction, the third joint EU-NATO declaration, to be signed next month, will include a very substantive common agenda on cyber defense. Cyber will also be strongly reflected in our upcoming defense package next month that will feed into the EU strategic compass to be adopted in March and the summit on European defense that President Macron has announced in the context of the French presidency of the Council. Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that the many initiatives that the EU will undertake to contribute to promote, reinforce cybersecurity in Europe will also be conducive to a values-based digital world that would combine issues, initiatives, and laws, from building high standards for cyberspace and strengthening its capabilities to detect, prevent, and respond to any attacks, but also contributing to collective cyber defense and cybersecurity innovation. Working together with all those who support an open, safe, secure, and values driven cyberspace, I believe we have a chance to succeed. Thank you very much, and I wish you a productive discussion later today.